opinions expressed on the show are those of the guests or host, and not necessarily those of the advertisers, networks, platforms, or stations. Networks, platforms, or stations. Warning that the content of the show may not be suitable for all audiences and that viewer discretion is advised. The show does not intend to provide medical, legal, or financial advice, and viewers or listeners should consult with the professional before making any decisions based on the information presented.
And welcome everybody to the Vixen'S Vault. Today is Wednesday, April the 8th, 2026. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. I hope everybody had a relaxing, enjoyable week last week. I know for several faiths it was a holiday week. We had Easter for the Christian beliefs, you had Passover for the Jewish beliefs, and I believe the Islam also had, was it Ramadan? It was something in the Islamic beliefs last week also. Sorry, excuse me, that was not me being, that's just me not knowing my Islamic calendar off the top of my head. But basically, pretty much everybody was in this status of some type of an acknowledgement of a holiday. And it seemed that people were in good spirits, but, you know, as usual, something had to get feisty. We had the Artemis II launch, which was actually pretty wicked. I know we could see it from here on the west coast of Florida pretty clearly. People with good cameras were actually able to see the ejection of the boosters from this distance because the skies were that clear that night, which is always a kind of cool thing. I will tell you the Artemis leaves a hell of a contrail. She leaves a much larger contrail than the Falcon Heavy does, or any of actually the SpaceX launches that I'm aware of. So it was different watching Artemis go than it is watching SpaceX, which launches pretty regularly. But SpaceX, there's something to it. It's like, maybe it's because a lot of their launches are at night or in early, like pre-dawn, where the flames coming out of the back are just insane. It's the whole thing. It glows like a candle going up in the air when you're watching it from here. It's really cool. And I can tell you, SpaceX has launched like 3 since the Artemis launch.
I wonder if they do it at night for the public relations sort of photographs.
It could be. I wouldn't put it past Elon. But again, I also think it's got to do with the windows, the orbits that SpaceX goes into, whether or not they're deploying satellite, whether or not they're carrying military packages. I mean, there's a lot of different things that play into it. I think we saw, with the rescue of the US F-15 pilot this week, we saw some of what is most likely on board with some of these SpaceX payloads, with the recovery of that pilot, the type of technology that was used that had to have been an interaction from a satellite. No two ways about that. It was a frequency-based technology. In fact, I actually sent Vicky a message because I said, this is kind of based off RPAD's technology. It's kind of the same thought process. It's just, it tracks the heartbeat and the frequency of the heartbeat rather than DNA, but you know, it's still basically it's tracking a frequency signature, which is very unique to each person. Very cool way to retrieve our pilot. Glad both pilots were safe. Kind of laughed at Donald Trump's reaction to all that, and the fact that somebody who didn't remain unnamed for very long, somebody leaked the fact that we had a second pilot on the ground that hadn't been retrieved yet in Iran. And that leak, of course, was traced back to our friends. Where? Let me think. Where's my favorite place in the world? Israel. It was an Israeli journalist that works for the New York Times that leaked that information. Not so good, guys. Not so good.
Yeah, but they got the guy. The FBI just arrested the guy who gave the journalist the information, the Army guy.
Yeah. Good for, you know what? And again, you got to start where you got to plug your holes at their base. I mean, I know it gets very, you're really kind of treading water difficultly when you're arresting journalists, because once that's out there, it's like Julian Assange, and I always said that. Julian Assange wasn't, how could Julian Assange be arrested and accused of treason to the United States when he wasn't a U.S. citizen? He was a journalist, and not only that, he was being given that information. It's not on him to not report it. Once he has it, it's actually his job. It's on the people who gave it to him. And I always wondered about that. I'm like, how could they pursue Assange in the way they did when they knew that this was not on him? This is on the people who are leaking the information. So, and not only that, I know they made a big deal about what was given to Julian Assange. Oh, this is putting people's lives in danger. Yeah, but not people that are, it was putting the politicians' lives in danger because they lied their asses off, and it was all on record. So, yeah, and, like I said, when they went after him for pedophilia and everything they were going after him for, I'm like, yeah, they need him shut down. They need him silenced. So it's kind of funny. There's a pattern when they go after what we'll call leakers in many ways. They accuse them of all the crimes they themselves are guilty of. It's quite interesting, actually. Pretty funny. But
just to lend some credibility to that, German Supreme Court actually declared WikiLeaks a legitimate news organization.
Yep.
So they should have had, at least here in the United States, from our charges, they should have had some freedom of press. But obviously, no.
Well, and I find it very interesting, too, that right now, both Assange and Snowden are up for pardons under the Trump administration. And if that occurs, once that occurs, that's a game on situation, because there's still, ridiculous amounts of terabytes of information that were not released. And same thing goes with McAfee. Tons of information that is still hidden somewhere that has not gone public. And trust me, it will eventually. It's just the timing of it. And I think, again, y'all can laugh at me as much as you want, but I think there's operations that have to be completed first before other things can be made public. It's like putting together a really, really intricate puzzle where nobody really knows what the picture is until the puzzle's almost completely done, and then everybody's surprised at the picture. But, yeah, it's a very interesting, I guess you could say, pattern. How the people who seem to bring us the most truth are the people that are the most hunted. Even, like I said, with Snowden, it's the information he gave us. I laugh because you see these news stories where different journalists are just horrified because they found out they were bugged. Congress people just floored aghast that they were bugged. When, we know that since literally the technology was available to bug people, the government has been bugging U.S. tax-paying citizens with no warrant, no nothing. They've been monitoring everything. And Snowden told us that, and he told us how. And again, there was no outrage for the American people. There's outrage for the politicians who think they're untouchable, and outrage on behalf of, people who feel that everything of theirs is private. But if you happen to be a lowly citizen that, pays all the taxes, yep, you're a fair game because you could be a terrorist.
Technically, the US isn't spying on its citizens. Other members of the Five Eyes are, and then we providing the information to the US, members.
But you can't, here's the thing, you can play the game of proxy all you want, but those of us who understand technology know exactly what a proxy is and exactly how it works. And we know, actually, that was part of the Assange drops, which I was dying laughing when that happened. I think, was that Vault 7, Ralphie, where he was talking about the ability of governments to basically proxy their IPs and make it appear that they're in a different country. Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, I was able to do that back in the 1990s. That is a very simple move. You can ghost your IP. You can proxy your IP. If you know how to work the internet or even DOS at any level, you can do this very easily. The fact that they thought this was some super secret government, cyber technology, I was like, are they retarded? Are they really that stupid? Are Americans that stupid that they don't know that that can be done?
Yes.
I mean, so simply, you can write your own IP, for God's sakes. I mean, it's like not hard to do. And you can proxy it like, oh my God, a bazillion times. You can bounce it 20 different servers. Make it darn near impossible to track where you're coming out of. In fact, when I was back in the early, the turn of the century, early 2000s, the most popular place to proxy your IP to was Beijing. Like everybody proxied their IP to Beijing. It was just easy. It was simple. So,
but obviously, if you've got two public IP addresses that are exactly the same, then there is problems with various conflictions.
yep.
You can have two, at least IPv4. No, you can also do 600. Yeah, so if you have two IPs address public IP addresses,
Correct.
then
Well,
you can have conflicts.
and it's hard. It is harder to track the static IPs, although you can still track them. It is harder to track a static IP than it is a regular IP. But you can ping. You can go into DOS and ping an IP, and it'll go all the way back to the actual point of origin.
Is it harder to track a static IP, because most static IPs are registered with one of the regulators,
Carrier.
5 regulators. Therefore, and obviously an ISP has to provide you with that static IP, so there'll be billing information.
There's
data protection issues there, and data protection is there,
but they also tend to do static IP in what we call batches, as you well know. So it's harder to pinpoint a static IP. It is definitely, like I said, if sheepers creepers, just go out to DOS and pop in your IP, and you can track an IP all the way back to its actual carrier of origination, where it came from. I mean, it'll go through. Like I had one IP, I think it had like 24 pings before it got back to the actual point of origin. But I mean, it's not hard to do. And if we have such super incredibly intelligent services, that's why I always said, who is in charge of CISA? I would love to know, because you must think we're all retarded. Because again, you make these technologies seem like they're so advanced and evil, when like a 5-year-old could do this, really. And kids,
I'm not sure if I agree with that argument, because there's a good, especially in Britain, there's a good history of infrastructure projects, government infrastructure projects being absolute failures.
Well, I mean, look at here. Look at in the States. For how long have we been told that our infrastructure is at risk? And it's at risk because of basically inadequate cybersecurity on some of the sites that guide, and actually AI technology that's running our infrastructure is completely open and at risk. And now they're screaming, the Iranians are hacking the infrastructure. Oh, sure, great. Blame the Iranians, right? There you go. Because they're the simplest. They're the new Russians. They're the new boogeyman. Okay, that's great. No, in all likeliness, it is probably people who really want Iran out of the way, who are obviously hacking our infrastructure and blaming it on Iran. I know people hate it when I say that, but I'm going to call a goose and a gander a gander. Because, again, Israel did exactly what they have done by pattern for decades.
I'm going to give you a recent story that came out of Britain in relation to data lakes and poor infrastructure. It was only a couple of weeks ago that it was reported that the UK's Company House, so the agency that keeps all public limited companies' accounts, names, details, and registrations. Their website was demonstrated to have a hole in it that allowed the public to be able to access private contact information.
Yep.
That stretched back to something like June, July last year, and it was only discovered in October, and it was only reported on only a couple of weeks ago, but 2-3 weeks ago.
Yep, and you guys lost terabytes. I mean, I saw that. I read about that. That you guys were. It was a big problem, a very large problem. But the same thing happened here during COVID. I can't tell you how many states in this country their DEO or their Department of Unemployment sites were hacked on both ends, because there's two different areas within an unemployment site. You have the registration area for the employees who are seeking unemployment, and then you have the area for the employers who have paid unemployment taxes. Both ends got hacked, and all of the banking information, everything that was stored on the unemployment sites was up in the air. Not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Is that a hack, or is that just poor implementation?
Oh, no, it was hacked. It was hacked. It was absolutely hacked.
There was actual poor implementation.
Well, it was poor implementation. It was poor maintenance. It was poor coding. But they knew that. In Florida, for example, and Dave and Raphael can both back me up on this, when the biggest problem we had was all these people became unemployed on the same day. Okay? Literally, I believe it was March the 12th. Everybody who worked in any business that was considered non-essential was told they could not work. Okay? Well, that is an unemployment claim because it's through no fault of the employer. It's through no fault of the employee. It was a government edict. Okay, so everybody goes home from work that day and tries to sign on to Florida unemployment. Yeah. The site wasn't even up 30 seconds and it went down. And you can get, I couldn't get into it until April 4th? April 4th. You could not get into the site. And then there was nobody on the phones. It gives you this phone number to call. Nobody's answering their phones.
So
and
March, what to April?
March. Yep.
3 weeks.
And I finally only got through because I called the local congressman for our area. And I said, this is absolutely disgusting, unacceptable. We don't pay our taxes and our employers don't pay their taxes to have this. This is a dinosaur. This is even a website. I don't know what it is. It's completely non-functional. And, we have no source of income right now. It's easier to go on the IRS site right now. That is scary because the IRS site is absolutely known to be in a hot mess. It was easier.
I can't even get my identity confirmed on login.gov.
Yep.
For my VA benefits.
And that's saying a lot because you know what? The government will be the first group of people to turn around and tell us that we're responsible for our accounts. We have to secure this. It's on us. Criminal activity isn't their fault. It's on us. We have to protect ourselves. Okay, fine. So why aren't you protecting our information that you require from us? Nobody was compensated for unemployment being completely hacked multiple times. Nobody was given any type of protection for their identity. I can tell you my account was compromised. I pulled all my information offline after that and made them, remember that, Ralphie? I made them do it via phone because I was like, I'm not doing this online anymore. I am not. Well, we're doing the ID where you have to do the biosensor ID. I'm like, absolutely not. Yeah, you are nope, and nope. And you cannot.
And now you understand why I'm so critical of the digital identification systems. Yep.
Yeah. It's like you couldn't keep my stupid social security number secure and you want me to give you my biosensor material? Are you insane? Like, did you lose a couple of cells out of your brain? Did COVID kill it? What, you prove to me you can keep my information safe and I'll give it to you. You can't do that. So, yep, nope, not getting it. But you still owe me the money by law. And I feel the same way about banks because banks can't keep your information safe either. And they refuse to take responsibility for that. I mean, people have their accounts hacked constantly. How can somebody have a wire for $10,000 sent from their bank account and not be contacted? Do you know how often that happens? It's constant.
Thankfully, this is where I'm so glad I'm in the EEA, the EU/EEA General Data Protection Regulation. And technically, if you're in California, the California Consumer Protection Act would give you some protection which is very similar to the GDPR.
Well, here's the problem I have with California. Get me started there.
Oh, yeah.
They do have a protection act in California for your data. However, it excludes. You have to look at the exclusion list that they have. It excludes, like, I can't even tell you how many things. So it's basically, if you're a mom and pops, you're going to be held responsible if you're irresponsible with somebody's data. If you're a big company like Walmart or one of the big ones, or bank, you're excluded. You can't be held responsible.
I remember reviewing this year before last in relation to Minds.com, and I was talking about GDPR at the time. If California's rules states that the company must have a certain number of
employees,
Canadian customers. Oh, not Canadian. Sorry, Californian customers, users.
Yep.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I have a lot of friends who live out in Cali. One of my best friends lives in LA, and she's constantly complaining to me, and I'm like, well, you guys kind of created your own crap storm out there. I mean, where were your complaints when they were pushing this through your law? Where were your complaints when it comes time to vote? Because according to California, it's like New York. Apparently, a 3-block radius in New York decides the entire government for the state. No matter what everybody else thinks, for some reason, that block radius is just so dense, it's pretty much whatever they vote is what happens. And it's the same thing in California. I'm like, so you guys, it's like you're worried about your unemployment, you're worried about your illegals. I said, well, you might have tried to stand up and say, why are illegals that are coming into California, 1, given housing, 2, given full medical, 3, given money, 4, given food, and 5, given a voter registration form. And honestly, I said, if a really smart attorney thought about it, if they had a client that was here illegally and they were being forced to leave the country because they entered illegally, and they fought back with the claim that, well, we didn't realize we were here illegally because we were given a voter registration, and if you can vote, that makes you legal, because that is a sound argument. I was like, yeah, it could be really big trouble, because when you give somebody a voter registration, you're telling them that they can vote. And that,
with the exception of voting rights in Britain, we've got it worse actually when it comes to sort of trying to remove illegals from this country because of the ECHR rules. But I could just imagine Labour wanting to push voting rights onto in the next year or two.
It's you guys are kind of. It's weird because you've always had an immigration problem, but you've always been so polite about it. I've always kind of looked at it that way. The British are way too polite about their problems sometimes, because I still remember when it was the Poles, when you guys had all the Polish people, and it was a hot mess. It is, oh, well, they're just filthy, and, and it was not a big deal. Now you're run over by Middle Easterners. Completely overrun.
To Eastern Europeans, I know I've met quite a few very nice Eastern Europeans, especially the Poles. There was a drive not that long ago, I think a couple of years ago, that was related to trying to the Poland government trying to
Mark,
bring back.
Hold that thought. I can take a break. I'm running out of time. Mark will continue that thought when we come off break. We will return with the Vixen's Vault in just a few moments.
All right, we're on radio break.
Sorry about that, dude.
I didn't mean to cut you off earlier there, Roger. I was just, playing around.
Yes, you did. You absolutely did.
Yes, you did, Mark.
No, Roger has this habit of going right into like our intros or breaks or outros. Don't you, Roger?
I know.
Well, it's just you start your shows way too early, dude.
Mark, you gotta recognize this. Roger is basically peeing on the tree. That's what he's doing. He's peeing on the tree in the intros and the outros. Like, I'm here. I'm making my mark on this tree.
No.
He's actually quite good at
what it is.
Monarcho.
Yeah, he's quite good at it.
It's weird.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Mark.
Weird.
He's quite good at it.
Tonight's weird. Okay,
I did
Bullhorn Barry
I
talked
do-
about
I-
aliens, dude.
Yeah, aliens.
Well,
Okay.
Actually,
dude,
for the very first time, Censorship
That was
Sucks talked about aliens tonight.
Oh,
On
cool.
well-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
That-
tell
that
you,
was-
there's, everybody was mad at Trump for what he posted about an entire civilization being annihilated, and I swear to God, people, I'm like, you guys are just morons. The Iranian civilization is not 47 years old. That should have been your first hint of what he was talking about. Yeah, it's like several thousand years old. Let's go there.
Persian, technically, Iranian.
Yes,
Persian.
but what he was
Trademark.
talking about was he was talking about the Khomeini family in particular. But if you look back at the date, that's what I did. I went 47 years back and I looked at what happened around this time 47 years ago. Well, you had the deposing of the Shah of Iran. You had Israel making peace with Egypt, which I had forgotten about. I was like, oh, yes, that's right. That's when Hamas came into the picture because Hamas was Egyptian. That's right. And then...
How long after the 1967 war?
Do what now? 1979.
1960 Oh, okay. I was thinking. I thought it was a lot earlier than that. I thought it was back in
Nope.
69.
Yeah.
That was
1979.
Reagan.
It was literally it was like there were several really interesting things that happened in 1979 at this time period. And of course I was laughing with the Israeli peace with Egypt. I'm like, yep, that was when the whole Hamas seedlings were planted. Good on them. But then it was also the same date. I don't know if you guys, I think it was Flight 701 out of New Zealand, crashed into Mount Erebus in Antarctica. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm looking at it going, I remember this, but I don't remember it because I was little. I was like 9 years old in 1979. I'm like, I remember watching something about it, but so I started like looking more deeply into it. I'm like, wait a minute. Erebus. I know that's a Greek god. Looking at, okay, so Erebus is the Greek god of darkness. He's the son of the god of chaos. Okay, so that's already, now I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. Keep looking. Edmund Hillary was supposed to be on that flight. He canceled last second. Everybody on board the flight was killed. Five Eyes really congealed after that crash, and New Zealand was actually considered the head point of Five Eyes. And then, on top of that, I'm like, there's an outpost there, military outpost, right on Erebus. I don't know what it's called. Castle Rock. And I'm like, oh,
less than 30 seconds,
way.
folks.
Wardred, sure. Wardred, didn't we at least mention this on one of our previous shows?
With
Castle Rock
Erebus?
sounds familiar.
Okay,
Cat-
here's your countdown.
Hold on.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live and back on the radio side right now.
Guys, I love when I have cliffhangers on the break. Because that's what we just had, a cliffhanger on the break. I was right in the middle of giving Dave an answer right about on the tip of my tongue, and Mark's like, and we're back on the air in 5, 4, cut me right off. I was like, dang, cliffhanger. Welcome back to the Vixen'S Vault. Today's date is April the 8th, 2026. And before we roll back into the show, I would like to wish a one-day early happy birthday to my little girl. My daughter will be 35 years old tomorrow. Super proud of her. And I'd also like to wish a happy birthday to my grandson, Gabriel, who will be 11. And yes, that is my daughter's child. And yes, I will never, ever, I will die with my daughter whispering in my ear, I can't believe I had my own birthday. That sucks. Yes, so there's that. But happy birthday to both of them. I love them both dearly, and that my life wouldn't be complete without either one of them. It's a wonderful thing, and I'm very, very, I can't believe my daughter's 35. I feel so old. Holy crow. But that being said, Dave, to answer your question, the reason Castle Rock sounds so familiar is because Castle Rock is something that was not only a major part of the Q drops. Castle Rock Entertainment was used to film Joe Biden at the very beginning of his wonderfully ridiculous administration. And it was supposed to be at the White House, and they completely messed up the set. And you could see him sitting at what was supposed to be the Oval Office, and right behind him you see a parking lot, and there is no parking lot behind the Oval Office. So that was more than slightly problematic mess up of production. But yeah, Castle Rock plays a big part in a lot of things. But what I found very interesting is, again, with Antarctica, there's so many things in the ufology field that point to Antarctica. It points to a civilization that was there previously. It points to the fact that Antarctica was not a frozen tundra not too long ago, if we're looking at things chronologically by the Earth's chronology. And the fact that we had Artemis II up there supposedly swimming her way around the moon right now. And on top of that, pretty much. On top of that, you've got basically the Trump administration saying that they're going to do full disclosure of the alien files. And again, my brain is chinking all this information together at one time. And then you had Trump talking about wiping out a civilization and how he didn't want to do that. And I thought, wouldn't that just be a crazy, crazy way to disclose certain things a little bit later down the line? Because again, you have to look at the fact that Iran has always been considered, around Iraq, the cradle of civilization. For thousands of years, that area is considered to be the cradle, the Fertile Crescent, where man first emerged, even though we know that's probably not true. We know man probably came out of Africa. South Africa region is probably more accurate, and now there's some evidence that says it may have been Western Europe. We've got some fossils there that are showing us that, yeah, maybe it wasn't Africa, maybe it was Western Europe. Who knows? I doubt we'll ever have an answer to that. But again, I'm finding it very interesting. You're starting to see science. Go ahead.
I'm actually kind of I have my opinions on that. I think that that's kind of arrogant of humans to say that we come from a set point on the planet. Yep. Like every animal, you can see where they spawn up from different parts of the planet. And you take a look at a lot of the evidence that proves that humans probably did the same thing. You look at like the pygmies, okay, who've been secluded on islands, and there's no explanation for how they got there. People try to come up with explanations for that, and they still can't explain it. You know what I mean? So for me, I see it as human beings probably freaking evolved from different parts of the planet. It's just we haven't got the ancient DNA to prove it.
Well, see, when I'm doing my Piss Off a Christian Day, which I have them every once in a while, Piss Off a Christian Day, I will remind people that we have webbing. And we have gills. When we're developing as fetuses in the womb, we actually have gills. And yeah, that we were an aquatic creature at some point. We came from basically the mud. And that's how I put it, unfortunately, for me sometimes. I'm just like, yes, we probably evolved from the mud. Just good. Yeah, I know it doesn't fit the Adam and Eve story. I'm sorry. But evidence, if you look at it honestly, we are a webbed creature. We were aquatic at some point, or we had a duality. We were water and land-based. It doesn't matter how... I mean, the fact that we breathe amniotic fluid as a fetus, also very strong evidence that we came from the water at some point. But I do believe that there's somewhere in the evolution of mankind, and I've always said this, there's a jump from basically the Neanderthal type of being to Homo sapien, which we currently are now. It's a very short period of time chronologically. It's like 20,000 years. We jumped from one to the other, and we became this much more evolved creature in a really short evolutionary period of time. Like, pretty much impossible, to be very honest with you. And there's no explanation as to what caused that jump. What caused this evolution to occur? And it's I mean, in the ufology field, it's been something that's been talked about since I've been in it, which is the fact that, there was most likely a genetic manipulation at some point, and an outside interference that manipulated our DNA. And now we're seeing a lot of scientific publications coming up with articles that are backing that up, that they're finding things in our DNA that do not fit, they could not have come from a natural evolution. So you have two explanations for that. You can say it was an outside force, an alien technology, or you can say there was a much more advanced technology that preceded us and maybe manipulated our DNA because they may have had the technology to do that. Or you can go dimensional. That could be a third option. But again,
I was just thinking, if evolution is just based upon mutation and the adaptive argument, you adapt to a situation, you create mutations to adapt to that situation. It could still be technically natural. It could still be natural.
It depends on how you look at it. I mean, I'm a person who always believed Hollywood tells us very soft truths in many ways, like different things tell us soft truths. No, I really do believe that. Because there's too much that is proven true down the line. When I look at like shows like Stargate SG-1, and I always bring that up because there's so much in there I can apply to technology. When it talks about the Goa'uld, the symbiote, the actual worm-like creature that exists within humans and can control the human personality, I think of parasites. And it's funny because, Ralphie has been really in-depth researching parasites. And even I've said it. I'm always thinking to myself, did anybody ever stop to think that, we have more parasites in us than you could possibly know? Did anybody ever stop to think that some of those parasites could be good, some of them could be bad, some of them could be allowing us to evolve, some of them could be stopping us from evolving? Because I don't believe we're a creature. I think we're a host. I don't know if humanity was ever meant to be what we've become. I really think that these shells are hosts. I think we are beings of light. I really do. I think our soul consists of a frequency. We are beings of frequency. We are housed in these shells. We are stuck in these shells. In fact, I've even written things saying basically these shells are like our jail cells. We did something wrong somewhere, and this is jail. We're stuck here. And it's a constant cycle. Like once you're here, you're stuck here. You're constantly recycling. And unless you realize it. And I know people say, what is the word for it? When a light being, oh my God, what's it called? When they enhance an...
I was just thinking on the Buddhist sort of concept.
Waves.
Well, no, when you are able to actually advance beyond, like people would call it ascending to heaven or ascendance. Yeah, there we go. Ascendance.
Rather the trends, yeah.
And it even fits into religious doctrine, if you think about it. Since the beginning of religion, almost every single religion has a belief of going somewhere as a being that is no longer in corporeal form. You are ascending. You're either going or descending. You're either going up, down, or sideways, but you're not in your current form. You're basically, people say energy, but I look at it as frequency. You're change frequencies. You're vibrating at a different frequency. So it makes me wonder with the parasites, could that have been a soft truth? Could we be something we would be horrified to know if it was, if that ever came out, if it was something like, well, basically you're just a shell, you're a host. Would we be horrified to know? Would it be too horrifying? And I always question that. Could COVID have been a way to try to kill us? Insert a different host, make us so we can be easier controlled. And Ralphie and I have always believed that the vaccine specifically, because of the way it breaks down what is in it. And I wish I had Sal around right now, Cypher, because he and I have done so much research into that vaccine. It's crazy. But we could show you how it it literally could work like a bridge of technology because of the technology that's in it. It could literally use to control you. It's crazy.
We actually did a show here recently where me and Mark were talking about this with viruses, and a lot of people aren't aware that viruses actually are significant when it comes to human evolution. About 80% of the human genome is composed of ancient viral DNA. That's essential for our survival. And if you take a look at like the placenta and its development, okay, they have something in there called sanctum, I believe is how you say it.
Okay, yeah.
And it's actually a protein that's used in the placenta, which helps the child. It's like a mask. It shields them from freaking being introduced to any kind of contaminants or anything like that within the placenta.
Yep.
From infections and stuff like that. People don't know that, and that developed. That at first humans didn't have that.
Well, when we're developing, as in the placenta, as a fetus develops, its first 3 months, it looks like a little worm with a heartbeat. I'm not joking. It looks like a little worm, like a little parasite with a heartbeat. That's the only difference. And I will fight anybody right down to the floor when it comes to the heartbeat, because the heartbeat's there within days. So I always say that when they say, oh, the abortion heartbeat, I'm like, no, you're going to lose that battle, because it's there. It's just, it's so tiny as it's developing. It's there, but it's very, very, very hard to discern it. But that being said, we develop like a reptile almost. It's crazy. Like if you put a human fetus next to a tadpole, or even put a sperm next to a tadpole, and it's like, oh, which one's which? It takes you a few minutes to figure out which one is which. That should tell you something, that we are not what we think we are. And I'll say that from day one, we are not what we are told we are, which bothers me. And it kind of sucks that so much has happened recently that makes you question everything you've learned. Because this whole, going all the way back to Obama administration, which made us really all first start questioning. I mean, the JFK assassination, that was always a bane to everybody's existence. We always question things like that. But it was the Obama administration that really made a lot of people start digging in harder and looking beyond like the normal conspiracy type deals, just really looking harder. Why? Because we saw things occur in that administration that were wholly and completely unconstitutional. We saw investigations shut down. We saw laws being made that were not legal. I mean, to make a law making it illegal to investigate the background of Barack Hussein Obama, that was insanity. He was the president of the United States. He should have been micro-examined. It's something I've never understood in this government, how people can get elected into office and we have zero ability to really hard background. Because look what's happening now. I mean, if y'all are paying attention, when I post on Facebook, like at least once a week now, I'm posting about a congressperson or a state rep that's been arrested for child pornography or pedophilia. It's insane. Like constantly, I'm like, oh Lord, there's another one. Ding, up it goes. I mean, these are people that should not be in public office. Go ahead, Beth.
No, I was going to say was to Bill Edmonds. She's an FBI whistleblower. She actually said that she has a friend in the FBI background investigation division that does all the backgrounds for all the high level people that are seeking office, the ones that are going to the Hill to be not sworn in, basically get grilled by Congress to see if they're going to be confirmed. There you go, confirmation. And she says that the guy said basically they want dirt on them. They want the more stuff they can get on them, the more they can be controlled. That's the whole reason.
They can control them.
It. Yeah.
Yep.
Blackmail. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
But that is a sad state of being, because that means that our government, and again, as much as it grinds you when I say it, Q is right. 95 to 98% are corrupt. And that is a really scary percentage if you think about the fact that these people control the laws. They control our lives in many ways, and they are as corrupt as it comes.
Technically, they
ugh.
don't control the laws, they control the writing of the legislation, but because the separation, the three.
No, they do control the laws because they control the appointments of the judges.
Judge. Yeah, that's really for the judge, and the separation, isn't it? But that should be. There's meant to be a separation.
But what I'm saying is they control the appointment of the judge. So the highest court in our land, okay, SCOTUS, that is a judicial appointment. The president puts the person forward, but Congress has to approve it by a majority. So they control who sits on that SCOTUS panel. Okay, the state level, it's different. You can have judges that are, it depends on the bench, but you can have judges that are put in, or you have elected judges. Now, what I find very scary is that in all 50 states of the United States, do you realize you do not have to be a lawyer or have a law degree to become a judge? You just have to be elected. That floored me when I found that out. I found that out a couple years ago. I was like, what?
Even on the U.S. Supreme Court, you don't have to be a lawyer also, either.
Yep.
This
you
is
just
the thing.
have to.
Me and Roger was talking about Britain and the House of Lords and the removal of hereditary peers, and the other day, and this sort of, it's very similar. What you are creating is a form of cronyism.
Yes. But that's what we look where it's gotten.
Well,
I mean,
see,
you guys are a hot mess, but I think we're a bigger hot mess over here when it comes to the justice system, at least. I mean,
the conversation actually started out because Mark is always talking about like people who are, what was it? They're trained, I guess is how he says it, for the role of it. And I started doing research into it, and I found out that a lot of people in the House of Lords are actually noblemen who gained their positions there because they were born into it.
The argument is there is a history of looking after the land, looking after the interests of society. There's a historical interest as far as these individuals.
The House of Lords
for me, I see it. I see that more as just keeping monarchy alive. It's
called the House of Lords for a reason. It is literally the House of Lords. I mean, that's not just a something that was coined. You have to have title to be in the House of Lords. You cannot be untitled in the House of Lords. It's historically speaking.
Well, the government can, and there's rumours that Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, is going to this is going to happen to him soon. It's the government can just create a title for somebody. They say, well, you've done a lot of good for our party. You are now a baron.
Well, and, it happened to Rothschild. Lord Rothschild was given his title. There was no breeding there. He was just deigned and given the title. So it's, again, I think, like any other government, we're all guilty of it. Every single government on this planet is guilty of it. They wash this hand and wash the other hand, and whatever hand rubs the right back gets the title. And here it would be congressman, senator. There it's lord, lady, or, MP. But again, you're seeing in your structures, you're seeing a real power struggle over there. I mean, I almost feel bad for the UK because you're a small country. We're a huge country over here. We have a lot of land, a lot of people.
We are a small country with a lot of clout.
Yeah, you guys are feisty. It's so funny because you're really super polite, but man, you get riled up and y'all are feisty and you drink like fish. Holy crow!
You're
But
you're finding you're still powerful because you're the financial war castle.
Yep.
We're the military, and Rome is the religious war castle.
Yep. And that's why, again, people weren't understanding why Trump is doing certain things that are kind of sticking it to the UK. It's got nothing to do with her people. We love the British people. We're not so key on, let's put their money. We're not key on the people that control the money over there because they control a lot of things and they like to point fingers at everybody else.
Also related to politics and the politics of the current time.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yep. In fact, it was funny because I posted yesterday about the Straits of Hormuz. And one of the reasons Trump is doing what he's doing, and I'm like, there's a reason he's submarining Lloyd's of London, folks. It has everything to do with the Straits of Hormuz. And it's actually genius. But, you won't see that until the clouds lift and the veil is gone because he plays this game of like checkers on 7 different boards at one time. And he says what people don't want to hear. It's really funny. He just directs the public to do his dirty work in ways that are just, to me, it's almost insanity because he puts a giant target on his head, but it works. And I said that over and over again. It works. It is the craziest weapon I've ever seen, but it works. I love Bibi Netanyahu. Bibi's my best friend. Now every Democrat Jew hates Bibi. It's great.
I think a lot of people underestimate Trump. He's much more intelligent than people give him credit for. He might not be.
No, you guys are crazy. You guys are crazy.
Doesn't have the charisma.
The best communicator, but
I think he uses our stupidity against us. And he's an egomaniac in many ways, but that egomania works for him right now. He uses the stupidity of the people as a weapon. And that is kind of funny to watch. Like I said, when he says, I think Bibi's great. I love Bibi. Bibi is my best friend. Well, anyone who hates Donald Trump is now going to take a much closer look at Bibi Netanyahu. He's Donald Trump's friend. He's got to be freaking horrible. And they're finding out how evil Donald Trump doesn't have to say a word. People are doing their own homework. And I think I'm like, this is so funny. I've never seen, you have more New York Jews and American Zionists on the street right now protesting Bibi Netanyahu and saying he's horrible because he's a friend of Donald Trump. And I'm like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And it's enchanting to watch because these are things that we need people to know. And I said to Ralphie a million times, I don't care how it gets found out. I don't care. People need to know.
Well, I mean, it's swung so far the other way. They actually elected Muldowney as mayor of New York.
Yep. Yeah. And that's going so well for them. Did you see where Muldowney passed a law last week that basically raises the taxes on white people? And it is written into the law. It literally raises the taxes on Caucasians. So black people and people of color can, it's not as hard on them. I'm like, oh my God. I can't believe you just did that.
That's political theater because it'll never pass the Supreme Court.
Exactly. But it's as instigative. And this is why I keep saying I think Mamdani is a plant. I do not believe for a second that he's not, because he's showing people what can happen. All right, with that, I gotta take us out to our break, guys. This is our longer break, and hopefully we'll have a very enlivening and enlightening conversation on the break. Hang in there. We'll return with more of the Vixen's Vault in about 10 minutes.
All right. I was just worried that we'd go over and we'd get cut off somehow.
We didn't, so stop fretting.
I think my clock's a little slower than yours, Mark.
No, I'm not watching the clock. I'm watching the timer on the chat.
The timer.
Yeah.
Because that depends. Yeah. That determines everything.
You know what? Maybe I should watch that because I look at my clock too, and by my clock we still have 1 minute. So
your timer is going to be different than my timer.
Right.
Yeah, we're at 9:50. We're at 9:50.
Depending on when you join, depending on when you join the call, it won't show the same exact time. Because I got like 59 in like 4 seconds.
He's getting ready to get cut.
Yeah.
Oh, so if you get cut off mid-sentence, we can all laugh, and we're still in here, right? just making sure. What? Okay.
No, I think we all get cut off all at the same time. That's why occasionally I see 1 hour and 2 minutes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's why I always leave his stream up so that whenever we get cut, I can switch over to that real quick and get the audio.
Copy that.
Nancy, you just got me thinking. I'm going to have to do some research on how many SMEs I've left on New York.
I'm going to let this go until it gets cut off, and then I'll bring us right back.
And then how many small, medium?
I got like 56 right now, Mark.
I got 59 plus.
Hold on, I can barely hear you, Mark.
Sure.
Go ahead, say it again.
I was just wondering how many SMEs have left New York State in the last couple of months.
They're running like it's on fire. And I can tell you that, I mean, like, he's getting pushback from, like, some of the major because a lot of Hollywood people live in New York City. They have apartments there. And they're like, well, we voted for you. Why are you taxing us? Well, because you're white. Oh, well, that's not going to work. So, I mean, they're being played by their own stupidity. And this is why I was saying there's no way that anybody is that stupid. They thought that they were going to get a sweet deal. Well, no, they thought.
Yep, and we will be right back after this. I will connect us all up and get us back again here in just a minute. So, hold on, folks. Let me get the, I'll get the OBS up here and fix us there. And then I'll make the call. Right now.
I'm back.
Good to
hey,
go.
Mark. Good to go. Good to go. Yeah, we went off at 57 on my computer, and you were what, at 60?
Yeah, I was way over.
So we got a few minutes difference on our clocks.
Yeah, well, it goes by the timer on the chat. You know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was kind of
not the clock, not your actual clock, but the timer on chat.
Oh, okay. Well, I use my regular.
We've already used up a minute plus here already.
Yeah.
It was like right at the last seconds whenever you were getting ready to say that. I was expecting it, to be honest.
Oh, wow. So I'm reading something now where they just linked a ninth NASA scientist death to the NASA. Do you guys remember the DART mission in 2022 where they tried to push an asteroid?
Oh, yeah, right, exactly.
That was the DART mission. This is now the 9th scientist that worked on that mission that's dead.
No way. It's 9, huh?
What's the official coronage?
Okay, so I'm going to read it to you. This NASA scientist who passed away in 2023 is now being considered the 9th death linked to the secret U.S. space and nuclear work. He worked as NASA's DART mission. According to the Daily Mail, there is a growing mystery surrounding the death of the NASA scientist Michael Hicks, along with a series of other scientists linked to the same mission for DART in U.S. space and nuclear programs. Hicks was a research scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, from 1998 to 2022. He died July 30th, 2023 at the age of 59. but no public explanation of his death was being provided, and no autopsy records are available. His obituary did not mention any health problems, making his death appear sudden and unexpected. NASA and JPL have no comment. Hicks was an expert on comets and asteroids, authorized more than 80 scientific papers. He worked on NASA's DART mission, which tested whether humans could deflect a potentially dangerous asteroid, as well as the Deep Space One mission, which tested new spacecraft technology and flew past a comet in 2001. And then it's basically wrapping his death into McCaslin's disappearance, the general.
Oh, that general, I was just going to ask you about him.
Yeah, what about that scientist that worked with the general that's missing, too?
She's linked into this, too. Monica Reza is her name.
Were they part of that same program?
Yes, it says his case is said to be linked.
No conspiracy.
It says his case is said to be linked to Monica Reza, who was JPL's new director of the Materials Processing Group, and astrophysicist Carl Grimrar, through their shared involvement in advanced missile and rocket sciences. So it is all linked. I'm going to actually copy and paste this into you.
If you guys get a chance, John Ward out of South Africa has been putting a lot of cool stuff up about Mars.
Wait, John, no. Is it spelled the same as my John Ward?
No, Gean.
Okay. All right, there you go, guys. I just put the article in there.
It seems like coroner reports in the USA public, but it's dependent on state laws. They're not covered under HIPAA privacy rules.
No, they're not, which is what makes this very unusual, that they can't get a coroner's report, they can't get an autopsy report, they can't get anything on this guy's death. But he was linked to the DART program, which I find, again, very interesting, because there have been, since the ceasefire, okay, this is crazy, yet again, there have been five fireballs over the United States. I keep saying to Ralphie, those are satellites. There is a war going on above us, and they're not telling us.
Which state did he die in?
It's not. I gotta see if it's in there. Hang on.
It says,
General was out of Arizona, wasn't he?
Yep, Michael Hicks. I'm trying to see. It's just saying he was JPL. It doesn't list the state.
No.
I don't know about the lady, the female scientist that worked.
She was out of Arizona too, because she disappeared.
Oh, is that right?
The same area the general disappeared, she disappeared in. It's crazy. Yep.
I was told coroner reports are public.
Yep. Well, JPL. I think JPL is out of Arizona, so that makes sense. Yeah. But again, the fact that they all worked on the same programs, they were all working on the same things. We've got fireballs. I mean, it's kind of a crazy link.
It is crazy, yeah. All of them. Wow.
Yep. It's weird that actually just popped up in my feed.
JPL. Everything with JPL is pretty.
All right, suspicious. Look out, curtains climbers and crumb beggars and all those other good people. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live and back on the radio side right now.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Vixen'S Vault. I hope everybody enjoyed the 10-minute reprieve, the break to stretch out, get some coffee, get some soda, do whatever you're going to do. Sit back down and get ready to listen to us discuss. So, gentlemen, let's discuss. When we were on break, I got an article up in my feed talking about, the connections. Apparently, they've linked a 9th NASA scientist's death to the JPL DART mission back in 2022, which for those of you who are not aware, was a mission where NASA decided to see if we could push an asteroid. That's the best way to put it. They wanted to see if a collision with an asteroid could redirect the asteroid. So what was that? Was it Armageddon? Was that the movie where they kind of portrayed something like that? Or were they trying to blow that asteroid up?
Meteor also. Meteor was one.
Yeah.
It's been on almost every Saturday for the past month or something. Yeah.
Yeah, again, weird timing, isn't it? It's kind of weird how we're almost like being pre-programmed for an event. I always feel that way. Like, you got fireballs falling out of the sky with interesting timing. Like I said, I was telling the guys right before we came back on air, since the announcement of the ceasefire in the Middle East, we have had no less than 5 fireballs sighted across the continental United States. And I will once again remind everybody, we are not in a meteor shower right now. But sure as the day is long, within, 3 hours of the fireball sighting, you've got NASA and all meteorological associates posting that it is definitively a meteorite. Okay, that's great.
Oh, let's hope it was the Jewish space laser.
The Jewish space laser.
Wobbly's in chat and says we are in some sort of meteor shower.
I don't think so. I think
sure?
it's not till April. I thought it was not till the end of this month. Hold on. Meteor.
Better check that.
Not only that, but here's the other thing. Fireballs are different than normal meteor showers. A fireball comes in real close and causes quite a little issue at ground level because it gets in so low. And it's Lyrids. No, it's not. The Lyrids aren't until the 21st.
Okay.
The Lyrids are not until the end of the month. Yep.
There was supposed to have been one come over Jacksonville during the daytime today, but we were so cloudy you couldn't see anything up here. I don't know because I know they had a lot of rain over there, so I don't know where it went or where it went through somebody's house or something. They said it had to be a meteor that came down. Well, I shouldn't say that. It could be anything, like what you were saying, Nancy. It could be a satellite for all we know.
Well, like I said, the way these things are coming down, and some of them that are being filmed, you can see them breaking apart, like into like a ton of pieces. And that's, to me, again, normally we don't see them break apart that low to land, and especially not with this type of consistency. Like it's every day.
Yep.
And not just that, but normally that would be more of a debris issue. If you think about it, when something is coming in at that speed, how often do we see film of a meteorite breaking apart like that? You don't. It hits as a solid piece. It burns.
Roger's neighborhood up in Ohio, they had one last month, Roger? That one that came down and broke apart?
That's what I was getting ready to say. Are they actually meteorites or are they bolites?
I was just about to say, unless they totally burn up or they're, I don't know, land in an inaccessible place like in the middle of an ocean, surely there's going to be some sort of material that can be
not with bolides. Not with bolides. Bolides happen all the time. A lot of people who are at sea can see them almost every night where they go across the sky. I mean, it's amazing.
But they've got to land somewhere.
No, they don't. They just burn up.
Yeah, they burned completely up. But this is my thing. I mean, again, we have a history, especially in low light situations. That's why they're so visible over the ocean. It's low light. But the problem I'm having is, again, how long have we all been alive? I mean, so I'm 56 years old this year, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I can tell you, I can't remember any time period where there was pretty much every day a fireball meteorite visible, not during a freaking meteor shower. I mean, according to the calendar, the Lyrids, they don't peak till April 21st. That's the end of this month. The Eddas, the Aquarids, they're May 5th and 6th. The Perseids are in August. The Geminids are in December. So we're not in any type of meteor shower right now where we should be having this type of activity. And that is what bothers me with all of this, that anybody can go look up our calendars. So we have moved, the planet has moved into a bad area. There's some type of debris up there that's fallen in on us that they don't want to tell us about, or there's something going on up there. There's a ton of freaking different, literally satellites. Everybody's got a satellite up there. We have been told over and over again, and I am the first person to say our government lies their asses off to us about anything they don't want us knowing about. And one of the things they don't want us knowing about is the space program. There's a reason Donald Trump made a space force. I mean, it wasn't because he had an ego. I can tell you that. There's a reason why he did it. There's a reason he wants Greenland. There is a reason Antarctica is having all sorts of issues right now. There is a reason volcanic activity is out of control right now.
Check this out, man. The government is so corrupt, they even tried to tell Columbus he didn't see a UFO.
I mean, again, I don't know how else you could put it. You can look at all these things as separate things, or you can look them as a symptom of a greater problem. And somebody not wanting us to, I mean, I literally sit here and think, am I crazy? Or is this, they basically want to fight a war and have everybody on Earth just be like, la-di-da-di-da. Oh, look, Donald Trump's going to blow up the Middle East. Isn't he horrible? Oh, he didn't do it. Isn't he horrible? What? What is wrong with people?
It sells newspapers. Yeah, it sells newspaper headlines.
Yeah, he didn't blow, he did a ceasefire. Oh, he's so evil. What? Are you people like on crack?
Nancy, I want to go back what you said a couple of minutes ago, because I know my father used to give his lectures in the 80s, late 70s and the early 80s, and he always told people, I don't know who he was in touch with. I wasn't around much, but he said the whole solar system was moving to a higher vibration within the Milky Way. And then in 1994, NASA says, oh yeah, the whole solar system's moving up to the everything. That's why we're getting those weird comets that are coming through here, like Oumuamua and 3I Atlas, because they've never seen anything like this. Because that's because we've been moving around, and that could be why exactly what you said is why we're in a different sector, and now we're seeing things that we would never see before because we were in a different area. Possibly.
Well, and it makes me wonder too if that's what held up. Because again, I try to be logical with the conspiracy side of myself, and say maybe they held off on another moon landing because we were waiting to reposition, where the Earth moved into an area that made it a lot more of a better shot to do it. But then I have to also question, how do we make it through the Van Allen belt?
Exactly.
There's so many questions that go unanswered. Like, nobody has logically explained to me yet how a spacecraft gets its way through the Van Allen belt, because that to me would seem pretty unnavigable. But, what do I know? So, again,
did you see that thing that was rolling around on the moon, that Artemis 2? And I kept looking at it and all I saw was dust, but there was no track behind it, so I think it's AI. The only thing I could think of was AI. I don't know what your thought. I even saw a close up of it. Somebody had enlarged it and had the whole video there. It was very close and nothing, no track. They said it was a rock being blown around. Well, boulders don't blow around.
So let me get this right. A rock being blown around, but our guys bounce around like freaking they weigh nothing when they're on the moon's surface, so that doesn't make sense at all.
So there's wind on the moon? Hold up.
You got, somehow it's like Mars has suddenly an atmosphere and they've got clouds. Yeah, okay, I believe that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So this is on Mars, not on the moon.
No, this is no.
I'm gonna say what Willie would say right now. Flat Earth!
Okay. No matter how you push that one, that got blown out of the water because it's like, sorry. Yeah, flat earthers, y'all are having a real bad week, just putting it that way. But it's, again, certain things don't make sense. And I know I've sworn on the fact that my father swore to me that we did do these missions, but I even have questions because my logic bucks against it. And I don't like it when my logic does that because it's telling me the pattern doesn't fit. So how do you get through the Van Allen belt? I mean, how does any of this happen? Why are they allowing? If there was an object on the moon, NASA would never. They would cut off their head before they allowed that film to be made public, unless they want people to have fear, or they want people to believe there's a presence out there that could visit us very soon. I mean, NASA, there's always a rhyme to their rhythm. And it's like somebody was asking the question the other day, what is NASA? I was like, a black budget. That's what NASA is. A very large black budget.
I remember somebody just talking about NASA and basically saying it's not really a space agency, it's an intelligence agency.
Yes, correct. And it has been for a very long time. Again, there are reasons why Space Force was set up. 1,000%.
There's a reason why only Air Force pilots can be an astronaut too. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man! It's government. That's it.
I thought Navy. I thought they took Navy pilots too. I didn't think it was just Air Force. I thought Navy pilots could too.
Well, I mean, it's still military. It's still military. I mean,
Oh yeah.
What if it's just a race? NASA. Remember, NASA isn't the only player in the game. You've got the European Space Agency. You've got China. You've got laughably
Russia.
India. Russia. They really are related to the European Space Agency, aren't they?
Well, I think we seem to all forget
Technically.
if it hadn't been for Russia, and again, people make me laugh.
yeah.
You know, everybody believed that Russia was the enemy. Well, then why was NASA piggybacking our astronauts on Russian vessels to go up to the space station? I mean, we used the Russian space program for what, a decade to go up to our space station. We were sending our astronauts up with cosmonauts constantly.
Can I add to that too?
Sorry, just before you continue, it's not Russia's space program. It's this European space agency.
None of us would be going. None of us would be going to the moon if it wasn't for a freaking Russian school teacher, dude.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And this was 100 years before they actually went out into space.
Actually, sorry, it's always been a joint relationship after the breakup of the Soviet Union, so post 92.
But again, they're so evil. I mean, heck, Mark, it was the UK, it was MI6 that gave the whole Russia bad, non-vetted information to the American press that said Donald Trump was doing all these things with Russian prostitutes, and it turned out to be all BS. And literally, but that was MI6 that provided that. And it's like, and it was John McCain that bought it. I mean, this country, I swear to God. Oh my God. I mean, everybody blames Hillary Clinton for that. I'm like, it wasn't Hillary Clinton, it was John McCain. He bought the intelligence from Peter Steele.
That reminds me of a Richard Burton film back in the 70s, and I can't remember the name of it. But it was where Richard Burton was acting as a sort of double agent, and it was all related to providing false information back and forward.
But what if it was, here's the thing, this is what I'm saying. What if it's all just a show, Mark? What if it's all the governments? What if they're just a show? Because we all know that every government has a power broker behind it. It's not what you think. Your government is not what you think. None of them
They're
are.
all middle management.
Yeah. So what if this is all to keep everybody looking at each other? You know, call the population. Pretty much, we've been at war for 150 years now. We haven't had a time of peace on this planet in 150 years. Okay? Think about that. Think about all the deaths that war creates. Think about all of the bodies it creates. Think about all the medications that get sold because of war. Think about it. It's a big money business.
On an international sort of front, you could argue that we've had a fairly peaceful time since 1945. Fairly.
No.
We had Korea.
We had Korea, we had Vietnam.
From an international point of view,
Yeah.
you could argue.
Afghanistan. Iraq.
Nope. Yep. Yep. I mean, we can just keep going and going. It's never been. We had Iran before Afghanistan and Iraq. You know, you had the hostage situation when Reagan came in.
Yeah, when
I mean,
Reagan. Yeah.
People have really short memories. And it's like, no, we have been in a constant state of war or proxy war for 150 years. And we have paid for it. The American taxpayers, more than anybody else on the planet, has paid for it. And I keep saying that. There's a reason Americans right now are really pissed off about Israel. Really pissed off. Because we've been financing Israel, and they're demanding that we put our soldiers in to do their dirty work. What? No. And I think that's what this ceasefire was, because I know Israel got really bent out of shape that they were not included in that. Well, guess what? Because you told everybody you were a superpower. Yeah, well, no, you told everybody last week that you were now a superpower. Remember, BB? You got on international television and said Israel is now a superpower. Well, guess what? Superpowers get to take care of their own crap. And you brought us over here, and we've now negotiated peace. And within 2 hours of that negotiation, BB was bombing Lebanon. And literally, the only headline you see is Iran has launched on Israel. Well, yeah, they launched on Israel because Israel was bombing Lebanon. So it's like, you know, like I said, they have no intention of a ceasefire. They don't want a ceasefire. They want war. They want to expand their territory. They want what they want, and they're going to try, and I've said to people, they're going to try to create a false flag to pull everybody back into the mess again.
As far as Lebanon is concerned, you could make an argument that they have been an international threat since 1975.
But again, it's funny because during Rabin, they were not an international threat, were they? They were at peace during Yitzhak Rabin. And so was Palestine. Oh, gasp. And he got assassinated by his own people. And it all started back up again. I mean, what they're not showing you, Mark, is they're not showing you that the expansion of Israel into Gaza, they are literally, they're setting up tents out in Gaza. They are completely expanding. Israel's pushing into Gaza and expanding. When that was part of the ceasefire, that they not do that. Yet they've been doing it. And nobody's saying a word to stop them. You know, now you've got Israel. They went public 2 days ago and said, well, you know, once the United States is done with Iran, we need them to attack Turkey. Oh, yeah, let me tell you, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
that is not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not. And he had to be absolutely high to say that publicly. No, we're not going to attack Turkey. Why? Because the last time you talked us into something that stupid, I don't know, he took over our Air Force base at Inkerding, which is a nuclear base. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure, we ate humble pie in that situation, and that is not going to happen again. And, by the way, Turkey is the only part of the UN and NATO who are actually ballsy enough to call Israel out directly. So, again, I find it interesting that he, I keep saying, BB's high on himself right now. His hubris is unbelievable.
Also,
but we need to see that.
If you attempt to go into Turkey, then you've got at least the EU that's going to be really critical.
Yep. But what did I tell you guys months ago? The idea is to get to Ukraine. It's got, these are all these, I said this to you guys. I said Ukraine is the stop point. Why? Ukraine is the seat of the Ashkenazi Jews. That is where it all goes back to. The whole Ukrainian war, all of that. Y'all are not seeing it. You're seeing what's on the surface. You're not looking underneath. You have to look underneath because that will tell you the truth.
Yeah, why would the US be interested? Because the US have
we're
already got bases in most of Europe, and especially Poland and Germany.
Because the Mossad and the CIA own our politicians. They own our government. They blackmail. Why do you think the Epstein files were so critical? It's not because Donald Trump's in them, I can tell you that much.
The CIA was founded by a bunch of Jewish bankers.
Why do you think the
JFK hand in glove?
Why do you think the JFK files never got released? Why do you think there's still over 500,000 of them that have not been released? Who do you think is in those files? It is not
Nancy,
Cuba.
we gotta go on break.
All right, guys.
It seems
I'm gonna
real
take us
easy
out.
to do that, though. You know what I mean? Blame the Jews for everything, but
No, but it is not easy to make the footprint that they left. Hang in there, guys. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the end caption of the Vixen's Vault. And you can listen to us argue some more. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
All right, we're on radio break.
Giant.
Roger,
Thanks,
you gotta
David.
come in earlier.
Appreciate you.
no, it's turned trendy to like just bash the Jews. Everything has to do
I
with
could
the
be
Jews.
as critical of various Islam, and I am.
Well, it
Yep.
is. but
Iran,
You can.
Vietnam.
It's
Why,
both-
Roger,
it's
you're
both-
missing out in chat. Me and the
Oh,
Great
no, I've
Conspiracy. Me and the
I've been
Great
watching.
Conspiracy and Wobbly are in there talking about goth girls.
I know. I just said it'd be
Oh.
nice if they had big booties.
Yeah, you know.
Well, the thing is, Roger, like with the JFK files, they left
Mm-hmm.
footprints. Really, really strong. 9/11. They left footprints.
Bush is
can't.
the one behind JFK. I mean, no matter what.
Bush
I-
Sr., yes.
Bush Sr. had everything to do with that.
Yes, I agree.
You know?
1,000%.
Herbert.
And like, if you want to talk about the Jews and be serious about it, let's talk about AIPAC, which nobody wants to talk about. Okay?
But what happened? When did AIPAC come into existence? When was AIPAC given their position? It was after the death of JFK.
AIPAC is a combination of the U.S. as well as Israel. And
Yes.
it's more politically based. What they want to do is control everybody.
But what? Okay, Roger. What is Israel? And this is where I keep saying to people: you don't go back far enough. What is Israel?
You have
what is
you
Israel?
have Israel, you have the England, and you have the United States. Not
Yes.
one of them is more powerful than the other one, and they are
But
all
Israel
involved.
is England.
Well,
Israel is England. Israel is controlled by the English money. The Zionists came from London.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, guys, there's a reason things are happening the way they're happening. You have to know your history.
I do know my history, dude. I'm
How
telling
could
you right now.
No.
The only reason why it is even being brought up today is because it attracts attention. People will listen because those dirty, horrible Jews are trying to take over the world.
No, but the problem is people have been forbidden to speak of it before now. Now you can't silence them under threat of jail. Right now in Israel, if you speak out against your own government and you get caught and they track you, you're going to jail.
I've been hearing this stuff for the last 10 years, man. I mean, they even used to put up little memes of, like, Israel has these computer rooms where they're just putting disinformation out. Look at these Jews over here on this computer. And this was 10 years ago.
What about 9/11? Because they did have the dancing Jews at 9/11, and they are admitting that now. That film is real. You can't.
9/11, I would honestly say that with 9/11, that was an inside job. That had nothing to do. That had nothing to do with any other country.
You could also make an argument that there was an Islamic sort of issue as well.
I mean,
as it was sort of argued at the time.
That was straight U.S. We did it to ourselves.
Who profited? But who profited? And that's what you have to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Who profited? Who makes follow the money? And I always say that. Follow the money. Follow it back. And the people who profited are usually the people who hold the guilt.
Well, look at today and then compare it, okay? After 9/11, it was such a traumatic experience to the American people, man. We have allowed our country to freaking just be taken over by these people, and it's all out of fear. Okay, George Bush Jr. was freaking sitting there, freaking just cheering blood.
30 seconds.
Guts, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And he was just feeding it.
Yep, I don't disagree. But I also think he was kind of he was the dopey kid. I always say that. Like, Jeb was the brains. George was the dope. He was a dope on a rope. He was he had alcoholism problems.
And here we go. 5.
Drug problems. He was
4. 3. 2. 1. And you're back live and on the radio side right now.
It's sad, guys, because when I think back, we're having a conversation talking about different presidents, and Roger made a very good point that it's hard to point at the Jews and blame them for everything. Yes and no, because a lot of it does go right back, not to the Jews, and you have to understand where I come from with that. It's their economic arm that I have a massive problem with, because they are connected to so many things. I mean, right now you've got, BlackRock. All of these things go back to Jewish people, to Zionists, and they control everything. And it's really hard to defend a group of people who make it illegal to talk about them. That is very difficult to do. So that's kind of my response to that. And it's not it's so funny because I have a lot of friends that are Jewish. I mean, I love them to death. I have no problem with Jewish people. I have no problem with the country of Israel. You want to have a country, that's fine, but you cannot take other people's sovereign property from them. You cannot take their land and put yourself on it and give them no compensation, give them nowhere to go, throw them into what was known as an armpit. Gaza was an armpit. Nobody wanted Gaza. It was considered a trashy area. Give them Gaza, give them the ghetto, and then find natural gas under it, and suddenly you want it back. No, that's not how it works. That is not how, that might be how business is played, but that is the problem with business. That's why there's no loyalty in business anymore, because you can't stomp on everybody else's head. I mean, right now, a handful of people hold all the money and all the power on this. There are billions of us, and a handful of people control everything. And that should really scare all of us because we're so complacent. Follow the law. It's drilled into you from day one. Moment you're born, follow the law. You get a number. You're tagged. You're it. You're now a cow in the cattle. That is how we are raised. We are raised that there are rules for them and there are rules for us, and we must obey. They can do what they want. Not acceptable. And until people start realizing it and standing up and saying something and at least try to bring an awareness about, like I said, a cow is always happy. It can drink from a pond of shit if that's all it's ever known its whole life. It's a happy cow drinking shit water until it realizes and watches another cow defecate where it's drinking that's probably not the best water on the planet and starts looking for other water. What is wrong with humanity that we have forgotten how to look for other water? We're so lazy. We're so complacent. We just want to be able to turn our computer, open our refrigerator, pop the TV on, and sit down. But that costs us everything to do that. It costs us our freedom. It costs us everything. And like I said, to know what is true, so we've been lied to about so much. To know what is true is almost impossible. There's just so many layers of lies that go back generations. It's almost impossible to discern a truth. And like I said, truth, there's always 7 truths to 1. And it all depends on how you're looking at it. Somebody said to me the other day, how can we not take President Trump when he posts something? How can we not take it as literal? I'm like, because there can be a truth and a lie in the same sentence. Something can be true and untrue at the exact same moment. And you have to look at things that way, because it's the only way to play the game right now. There's just so much dishonesty. It's really, you can tell I'm really aggravated with it because there's so much. It's so prevalent.
Also, not only there's truth and lies and same things, truths can be obfuscated. Sometimes you've got to watch what politicians don't say rather than what they do say.
Yep.
I think trying to say all these people are smart is another thing that we need to stop doing, because there's a lot of stupidity going on, and it's so chaotic out here in this world that it's hard to tell what's real and what isn't. So,
well,
when it comes to saying that there's like this plan, dude, that's being, I guarantee you there is no plan. This is all chaotic, and there's
I disagree.
There's crap coming down the pipes, dude, that's going to hit everybody like a ton of bricks, dude.
I only disagree, Roger, because everything that's happening was written about. That's why you see certain groups that are very calm.
About the Bible now, cause...
No, it's not biblical. Although he did say it's biblical, it's not biblical. It was written about. And we were told what to watch for. We were told for certain events. We were told there would be certain things occurring at certain times. And we were told not to listen to the news. Specifically, do not listen. Do not believe anything that you're hearing. Use discernment. Watch what's happening. And that is what some people, I mean, like I said, it's kind of funny because I see a lot of MAGA who have become really disheartened, and I'm like, you're not trusting in the fact that there are patterns to Donald Trump. And again, if you watch his patterns and watch what he's doing now, they're very different. There's a reason for that, and we were told to watch for that.
Well, see,
and we were told how it would happen. We were told we would be taken to the precipice, the very edge of the cliff before annihilation.
Well, I mean, I just don't agree with this whole freedom.
It's hard
through power through force. Like he went from being a man that was supposed to be against war to actually instigating wars.
But Roger, has he put boots on ground?
That's what needed to be done. If we're going to go down to South Africa or South America, that needs to be done. I'm sorry, but it is. There's a lot more issues going on in Central America that requires troops on the ground. We're willing to do that over in Afghanistan and in Iran, but we can't do it on our own soil, that's what it is. It's America. We should be doing that in Central America.
Problems stem out of the Middle East. That's the problem. A lot of it stems from the Middle East. A lot of the drug trade, the cartel connections, the money, the financing comes from the Middle East.
Ground to stop that. See, you don't just bomb them and then run and say everything's taken care of. It doesn't work.
I agree with that. But I also agree with his way of looking at it, which is it has to be the people. It has to be the people.
It had to be the people in Iran, too, and it had to be the people in Iraq. It had to be the people in Afghanistan, but we stuck around there for, 15, 20 years?
We didn't stick around Iraq for any other reason except for DOD. And I've said that a million times. We stuck in Iraq not for the people. We stuck there for the DOD. But the thing is, again...
Same thing.
But again, the Iranian people...
I'm sorry. We stuck through it because of Wesley Clark's 7 countries in 5 years.
Yep.
And they were trying to encircle Iran. Iran was the ultimate target, but they wanted control of Afghanistan and Iraq so that they can hit Iran from two sides, from bases on two sides. And that's all this has ever been. It's all stems from PNAC, 9/11, and the 7 countries in 5 years plan. It's all one and the same thing. It's not. This is not defensive. This is not even preemptive. This is premeditated. And there is no moral authority that gives us the right to invade any other country and kill a bunch of people and take their shit. And I don't care. It's not all white, Roger. It's not all white. Okay? Yep. Just because they're brown does not mean that we get to do whatever the hell we want in their countries. And that includes Latin America.
Well, when you destabilize the region, though, you need to freaking have somebody there to make sure that it's stable, okay? After they did their bombings in Venezuela, all of the freaking cartels went to the streets and started shooting, okay? We don't even know what's going on there now. They don't even put it on the news now.
Because it's stabilized.
Nature
it's stabilized. It's stabilized down there.
According to who? Who's telling you this?
They have opened it up where the Venezuelans that are here, they removed their okay, so up to that point, Venezuelans were given basically safe haven here in the United States. They were given a visa position within the United States that made them basically asylum. They lifted the asylum, and the Venezuelans are going back. So that tells me that that region is stable. It's a lot more stable than it was, at least. We are seeing their neighbors who are saying that the region is much more stable. The problem they're having and the complaints we're getting from the neighbors is, again, when Mandami was, or when Maduro was taken out, if you guys remember, again, think about what happened, and Roger, it's going to make you grit your teeth when I say it, but it's true. The day that happened, who went live before Donald Trump did? Who went live? Bibi Netanyahu did. And what did he say when he went live? He endorsed his candidate, the chick that we extracted out of there, and said, oh, she should be the leader. And Donald Trump went live after that and said, absolutely not. The leader will be elected by the Venezuelan people. She did not win that election. She lost that election. And it wasn't to Maduro. So what we're seeing is, I think you're seeing a strong arm situation where you're trying to regain these territories for these countries. Granted, he's not an idiot. He is a businessman. Yeah, great. Oil on us. That's awesome. We get this great oil deal now. That's terrific. Great. But you're also giving like right now in Cuba. They're not talking a lot about what's going on in Cuba right now. Cuba just gave us back 2,000 prisoners with nothing in exchange. Why? Because Cuba is going down. Their government is crashing and burning.
Mm-hmm. And it's the people
hugely.
that are doing it too, though. You see, it's the actual people of Cuba doing
exactly. Donald Trump didn't have to lift a finger, but he did allow the Straits of Hormuz to close. Which did what? Because Cuba was already in big trouble, and then the Straits closed, which means they're not getting any oil. So now they're in really big trouble, and the people are livid. So it's kind of a strangulation move, but it worked.
But you also have to look at all this instability and its root cause. A lot of it has to do with our sanctions and embargoes.
Yep.
Right. It's just, Venezuela, just because they nationalized the oil and they used it to, and don't get me started on Chavez was lining his pockets, blah, blah, blah. I know that. And no shit. But you know what? That's our politicians too.
Yep.
At the very least, they raised the literacy rate. They raised the health standards. They raised a lot of things that were being thrown by the wayside. You find a lot of these contrarian governments that rise up. It's a response to our government putting undue pressure on them to make sure that our corporations get all the money. And this goes way back. I mean, you look at Smedley Butler's War is a Racket. He talks about how he pacified multiple continents, and that Al Capone was an amateur in comparison, who could only control 3 districts. This is a timeless tale of empire.
Yep.
And a lot of the instability that you see has nothing to do with something organic. It has to do something that we organize. The death squads, Pinochet overthrowing Allende. There's plenty of things. I can just jump on AI right now and give you a whole list of things that we need to be looking in the mirror about. But this is, it enrages me when I hear people around me talking about how we need to bomb the Iranians. For what? The DNI, what's her name?
Gabbard.
Gabbard. She, the IAEA, both reported that the Iranians had not exceeded the 60% mandate, and that until the very last minute they were complying with IAEA inspections, and the only reason why they stopped because the IAEA was feeding intel to the U.S. and Israel for targeting packages.
Yep.
That's the only reason why they pulled out of that. But But even to the last minute, even right now, Gabbard could not go before Congress and tell them that Iran was an immediate threat to the United States. Couldn't say it.
Yep.
She danced around that question like Mike Tyson and Ali put together. And
I think there are
whole
factions
thing-
within Iran that are problematic. There's
Yeah.
no denying that. There are definitely
That's
factions
everywhere.
within Iran. Yes, I agree. And I think, like I said, you do what you need to do. And I think that the surrounding Arabic countries were on board with that faction being removed because it created danger for all of them. It really did. I have no problem with the Khomeinis being removed. They've made it really clear. Sorry, Mark, I didn't say the whole word. They've made it really clear to the surrounding countries that they were a danger. But again, I think it's being played correctly. You know, when down to the line, they're allowing the ceasefire to take place. They have proven that there is a regime in power right now that wants to negotiate. No matter what Israel is saying or doing, they're not getting their way. It is, the ceasefire is the right way to go. And letting the Iranians actually keep their country, because again, I think Israel had the same plan for Syria. They go in with their tanks and they take over, they put their puppet in, and Syria is just an arm of Israel and they start setting up settlements. That was what their plan was for Syria. It backfired. It backfired badly. And now they're calling for the assassination of the leader of Syria that they installed. So again, you're seeing things backfire on them badly. And you're seeing, like I said, there's a ridiculous amount of patience that's occurring that's not natural. Saudi has been bombed and targeted. They're being very patient. Bahrain, bombed, targeted. They're being super patient. Everybody is getting hit, and yet nobody. Russia with Ukraine, super patient. China, super patient. To the point of scary patience. Because if any of this had taken place 5 years ago or 10 years ago, we would have seen annihilation occurring. We're not seeing that. Did anybody stop to wonder why? Why have we not seen certain countries turn to glass yet? Why has that not happened? What is going on? Something else is going on because the movements and the responses don't make sense. So that's why I keep saying there's something else going on here, guys. And it's hard to see it, but it's there. It's happening. You're seeing a change in power. And I really don't believe that these fireballs are meteorites. I think there's probably something going on up there. Most likely because we have had more military satellites up there. You have foreign military satellites up there. Heck, you had Chinese drones flying through our airspace unimpeded. For how long? Chinese weather balloons floating across our country, completely unstopped. Again, there's a lot going on that I don't think we're being told. And I think we're seeing a cleanup at this point. I think it's said and done. We're seeing a cleanup. But that's my opinion. Could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong. But I was the one that was laughing when everybody was, he's going to nuke Iran. He's not going to nuke Iran. Holy crap. Are you guys really that dumb? You think he's going to nuke Iran? Really? You really believe that? Okay. If a nuke goes off in Iran, I guarantee if you trace the numbers on it, it was something we gave to Israel. That's my opinion on that. So again, you're seeing a game being played very carefully, but it's a game. It's a game. Because nothing is occurring the way everybody's telling us it's going to occur. And it scares me that we have a press corps that does things like this, that amps the fear up, that pushes it to that umpteenth degree. People were literally panicking yesterday. Panicking. Absolutely terrified that the world was going to end. Not joking. Can't even believe how many people I know personally who were literally melting down. Although he's crazy. I'm like, what would make, what? Really? You really think the greatest troll on the planet, Donald Trump, if he's known for anything when he dies, his epitaph is going to say professional troll. Because he is probably the greatest troll in history of the internet. He literally is. And he said certain things in that release that, again, when he puts things in capital letters, you got to kind of pay attention to what he's capitalizing. That's, again, a history with him. It's a pattern with him.
No, when you say troll, you need to elaborate on that, because I mean, I'm pretty much the coolest troll.
He, like I said, he says things for reaction because he wants a certain reaction. He needs a certain reaction, and it is classic. He's so good at it. I mean, it's funny because I look at him and I have this weird kind of respect for him. Because I think, nobody else has the balls to do it like that but him. Only him. None of us would ever, ever, ever troll to that level. But it's effective. It works. It might be completely unclassy. It might lack diplomacy and everything else we can name. But let's look at where class and diplomacy has gotten us. Look at the state of the planet right now. Diplomacy is nothing but lies dressed up with really pretty gift wrap. That's all it is. And it's never, ever to our advantage.
It worked in the 17th and 18th century, or 19th century, to a point.
But look at where it's gotten us, Mark. Look at where it's got us. We all pay ridiculous amounts of taxes to support things that never seem to manifest, except the war machine. I mean, literally, we are still in the 21st century. We are looking at a medical system that somehow gets away with giving us stuff that makes us sicker and more dependent on them rather than cures. You're telling me after all this time they can't cure cancer? Oh, come on. I mean, that's why I say we're so stupid. We sit and we willingly play the game. That's the crazy part.
You need to make your mind up. Now, first you're saying that there's a plan behind everything. Now you're saying we are so stupid.
No, I'm saying humanity as a whole. We take whatever they offer. Oh, here's something for the pain. It'll make it go away. Oh, wait, did we forget to tell you it's addictive and it destroys your intestines?
I'm on the stupid. I agree with the whole stupid philosophy. I think that people are stupid and that they've been dumbed down on purpose so that they could be controlled. I don't see no master plan here where people are actually like forming an actual thought. Like, this is just a plan of stupidity.
No, I disagree. I think there's something going on. You're seeing something changing in people. We are seeing people pay more attention to things, Roger. Like, how many people now since COVID who laughed at people who were anti-vax, who made fun of us, who ridiculed the anti-vaxxers, even though we gave them the ingredients. We told them this is really freaking dangerous stuff. Hello. You may not want to put that in your body.
That's reactionism, okay? That we're still reacting from the effects of this, what happened, okay? Now, whenever things settle down and they start actually thinking without reacting to what happened, and then they'll start figuring things out, you know what I mean? But right now, they're just reacting to what had happened, because it was a big event. It really was.
They're being tribal, Roger. Yeah. Call it what it is. People are being tribal. Yeah. But it's something where you are seeing more and more, especially the young people. I'm seeing it more and more now, where they're reading ingredients now. They're questioning things, which it should have been going on for decades. But no, we were never taught to do that. We were taught, you need to get to work on time. Just eat whatever you can on the way. Don't ask what's in it. Just, oh, look, it's available in a drive-thru. Go grab it. You're good. It might be
at home.
Yeah. You need to get online and find this information immediately. You need to have your phone by your side 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because God help, somebody might call at 4 o'clock in the morning. Literally, that's what we've become. You need to up your data plan. You need to do this. You need to do that. We need to put more towers up. We need to, put frequencies all around you that actually screw with your brain. We need to do all of these things because you need to have it. But do we? Do we really? Because I can tell you, Rafi and I love the silence of being in a rural area.
Yeah.
We love the quiet.
I've actually heard, I've gotten shit for saying that. Like, people are so dumb, man, that they would keep their family in harm's way living in the city, in downtown cities, on top of that with the crime, and instead of moving out into the country. That's just insanity. You say you love your kids and you don't want to take them out of harm's way. You'd rather live in that situation. It's just ridiculous.
Well, like I said, it is what it is. We're beasts of our nature, and they've figured it out. They've figured out our nature. We like things quick, convenient, easy, and cheap.
Anyway, on that note, we should really wrap up. Yeah.
Yep, I know, it's 10:55.
Thanks, Mark.
I know, I looked it down. I know, I saw it. But with that, guys, we are going to sign off for the evening. And I got to understand, it's not meant to be depressive when we're talking like this. It's meant to shake you and make you look around you and maybe respect and spend more time with yourself. You know, be with your family. Do things. Stop trying to be what society tells you to be. Be yourself. You know, enjoy the nature around you. Learn how to plant things. Learn how to cultivate things. Learn to do things that will help you in the future. Money is not everything. And if the economies collapse, it's going to be nothing. With that, we are out of here for the night. Hope to talk to y'all again next week. Hopefully, we'll still have a ceasefire in play, and hopefully the Artemis 2 will have returned safely. I think we'll all be watching for that. With that, I'm out of here. Say goodnight, gentlemen.
Good night, gentlemen.
There you go. There. Oh, Roger, you're so obedient. Talk to y'all later.
Primary objective successful. Shutdown sequence initiated. Shutting down.